I'm thrilled to introduce our presenter today, Anthony Lucero. Anthony is a seasoned hospitality accounting veteran with more than 20 years in roles ranging from controller to VP of finance to CFO, and both for family and private equity owned groups. He most recently helped Texas's Smoky Mo's Barbecue grow from 5 to 18 units while leading a transition from QuickBooks to R365. Anthony lives in Austin, Texas with his wife and 3 children and spends his weekends either playing soccer or traveling for his kids' sports teams. Alrighty, Anthony, I'll hand it off to you.
Yeah, appreciate the time today. Yeah, so really through this time, what we really want to talk about is exactly what this is, what the name of the webinar is, and that's choosing the right tools on accounting and operations for your restaurant. So trying to really juggle, a lot of us struggle with multiple platforms, how to kind of get these different pieces of information we need to make good decisions, having good visibility, and just how to pick the right tools based on exactly what your restaurant needs. So we'll go through each one of those pieces today, but we're just going to start with a quick poll question. So, do the tools you have today, do they really reduce your manual work, or do you find that they really add to your plate? We'll take a minute to get those poll questions in. You should see it pop up, and then we'll kind of go through those really quickly, and then we'll jump here into the kind of meat of the webinar.
Okay, I'll go ahead and end that poll.
All right, so in most restaurants, we really do need sophisticated tools. I know, me personally, I was one that I was really stuck in. This is the way we've always done it. A lot of people are really that way, where I've just always done it this way. These are the processes, these are the tools we've always had. But really, especially post COVID, really required a lot of us to accelerate, and really have not seen it slow down since. But really needing better tools that are really helping us be more efficient, be more accurate, have access to more data, and being able to get through all this stuff quicker. That's really the only way we can keep up. So finding the right tools that are really helping us do that is really crucial for all of us. And where that really starts is, in my opinion, is you have to have restaurant specific tools. There's a lot of great tools that exist out there, but we need to get restaurant specific. There's so many tools that exist that why would we pick one that's really generic and really broad? So we'll talk a little about who we are, and then I'll talk about kind of why these tools are so helpful. So we are a restaurant specific ERP system. What this means is we have all these different facets, whether it's accounting, whether it's inventory, whether it's scheduling, learning management, payroll, all living in our ecosystem. They're all a part of our own internal restaurant ecosystem. So why wouldn't we have them be a part of the same ecosystem within our software and our data? And that's one of the things that sets Restaurant 365 apart is we have everything living in the same ecosystem. So if you're a traditional, I've got my QuickBooks over here, I've got my inventory tool over here, I've got a separate scheduler. That's 3 different tools that are crucial for us to do what we do, but none of them talk to each other. They're not living together. They're all pulling different data. They're all telling us different things, but they're 3 different tools we got to manage. With our system, because we know restaurants operate, it's the same data I need for inventory, the same data I need to be able to calculate my cost of goods on my P&L. Putting all that together in the same ecosystem allows us to really, what we call, break down the wall between accounting and operations, really help us all use the same data, live off the same data, and make decisions quicker and more accurately because we're all there. Now, how we do what we do is heavy into integrations. Again, because we're restaurant specific, we are here to really help with those integrations that are specific and unique to you. So starting with that point of sale, we're pulling in every single sales ticket out of that point of sale. We have over 140 of them that we integrate with. We're pulling every sales ticket, every menu item, every discount, every payment type, using it on the accounting side to build sales journal entries, using it on the operational side for building your product mix reporting, using it against recipes for theoretical depletion against inventory, using it for your menu item analysis to really help you understand your menu and what's moving, what's not, what are some things I need to tweak, and what are my things that are really crushing it, and being able to use all that data feed for that. Same thing on the vendor side. We have over 200 vendors we integrate with, from your larger Cisco's and PFGs and GFSs, to over 50 produce vendors. So being able to integrate those vendors where when an invoice is created in their system, it gets pushed into ours automatically. Every line item that is on that invoice is coming through using that for posting AP and just getting AP entries in quicker, but also using it to help you track your prices from your vendors, help you understand what are you paying and how are my vendors increasing my prices on me, which is impacting my cost of goods. Also using it to help update the values of your inventory, using it to update all of your recipes automatically, things a lot of us are doing manually today out in Excel. We're helping automate that and really helping give you great reporting. But then also having some AP automation tools above and beyond that that are really helping us. We'll talk about that here in a minute. That's really helping us through OCR and through AI to read invoices, get them into the AP team in quicker, which is then helping us get invoices into and updating our P&L and our GL a lot faster as well. So really helping with those. And then a bank reconciliation tool that's automated with the banks and connected in with those banks, pulling data in, helping match it up against activity, helping you write rules to auto create transactions for you for those recurring transactions that are happening all the time. Really saving a ton of time with banks there as well. So first looking at some accounting tools. So when it comes to accounting, it's all about data. It's all about getting things in and getting it quicker. So one of the first things is being able to have access to dashboarding, like this tool right here. Pull all my information, show it to me in a really quick, easy, meaningful way. What are my sales? How are we trending? What is my cash accounts? How am I trending there? How's our profits? How's different metrics that we need to have, and being able to have that there, but then taking it further and being able to access KPIs and having dashboarding like this, being able to pull it up, see my net sales, see guest counts, see guest spend, being able to put all of it into a place that's very, very quick and easy to access is really, really critical, because especially on the accounting side, that usually falls on our shoulders for creating this data and being able to get it out. They're giving you the tools to be able to do that really quickly, really easily, instead of the manual Excel way that a lot of us do. And it starts with having access to all of these data points through these integrations, like we talked about. Having all that data living in one platform allows us to really be able to surface all that in a really meaningful way. Now, the next thing is really being able to work through AP. AP is one of, in my opinion, probably one of, outside of maybe third party reconciliation, the piece that really slows us down the most and is really that kind of linchpin for how quickly do we get through our data, how quickly do I get a P&L created, but also how accurately do I get it created. If we have a really good, solid AP process that really helps us get stuff in, get it through quicker, and get it reported, we're really set up for success for getting reporting and getting accurate information. But if we don't, that really slows us down. And so being able to automate as much of that as we can to really help your team is going to be crucial. So like we talked about, those EDI integrations, being able to get those in there, being able to have those invoices flow directly in, already have it coded out for me, already have all that information in there so I'm not having to hand key that and track it down is crucial. But then also being able to leverage, an AP capture tool that allows me to digitally upload invoices by taking a picture with my phone, allowing the managers at the store to be able to take a picture with their phone as well, send it directly in. So I'm not waiting for a packet to get mailed to me or having to have them scan in bulk and take that time in the back office. Just let them take a picture and let the tool take care of it is really, really helpful. Also having a tool like our AP Center. The AP Center is, our answer to an AP kind of management tool, but it's baked directly in our core software. So it allows you to manage your entire AP from one screen, allows you to, the first one is what we call our document queue or our docs to process. And that's, I like to think of as a digital AP inbox. That's where all those pictures that are coming from or emails that are being sent to AP, all of them get dropped in there. And that's where the AP department starts. And they have everything right there digitally already ready to go, can leverage that OCR, enter those invoices in themselves, but then also having an approval tool right there as well. So instead of that AP team having to send off emails all the time, was this work completed? Did you actually receive this product? Does this invoice look right? Is this billing rate right? Having to do all that work themselves to track that down. Now we can have the tool just send emails out to each individual person, set up those workflows beforehand by dollar amount or by vendor. So now when that R&M vendor comes in, it goes straight to the GM or it goes straight to your facilities manager. They have to look it over, hit that approval, review it, The AP team can go back to what they were doing, let the system manage that workflow and get it through and only send it back to me after it's been approved by everybody. Saving time, leveraging technology, leveraging everybody living in the same environment all together. Also allows us to create payments directly in there. And this is that capture AI tool I was talking about. Being able to have that tool read this invoice, be able to, pull all the meaningful information out for you and being able to then code it for you automatically, again, saving time. Another big thing, I talked about workflows on, building invoices or getting invoices approved, actually get ready for payment. What happens when they're actually paid? Everybody's got a slightly different process in what they do. But a lot of us, if we had to get, you have to have the owner get the check signature or get the CFO or wherever you're at. But a lot of times we're having to chase them down from restaurant to restaurant, having to wait for them to eventually get back to the office. Have them go through this really sophisticated, what do I want to pay? What do I not? Now we can use what are called payment run approvals, where I, as the AP person, can just create what I believe needs to be paid. It gets sent digitally to that individual, whoever's the next approver that needs to do a digital signature. They review it. They can say, yep, this looks good, approve it as is, or they can toggle on and off certain invoices that they don't want to pay. So that way we can make sure only what gets paid, only what we want to get paid gets paid, but they can do it anywhere in the world. They can do it from their mobile phone or um, from their computer. So really saving time and really meeting people where they're at. We're on the go, especially in this world now where we're a lot of us are remote. I might not be in the office. I might not see him. How do I get these things approved in a meaningful, easy way that saves time? And this is where tools like this can really, really help. We also have a full payment service. So again, trying to meet people where they're at. What this does is instead of me having to print the checks, having to stamp them and mail them as the AP clerk, now if we're growing or hey, I'm down a person or just frankly, it's just something that's never we don't want to have to do because I'm working remote. You don't want checks sitting at my house. We can be able to leverage our payment service. So as soon as you approve that payment run, whether it's the owner or the AP clerk, whoever is authorized, you can hit a button, it sends it to our team. We will actually print those checks, mail them out, stamp those envelopes, get everything done, deal with any ACHs you have. Also, we have a virtual card program. If you're not familiar with it, it's essentially a one-time use credit card number that we will give to your vendors. They can use that credit card number that one time, then it's no longer usable. So it allows you to not have to save a credit card number at a vendor, which is a lot safer for you. And we pay you a 40 basis point rebate back for using that service. So really great service that saves people a lot of time and really helps again meet them where they're at, what their needs are, whether it's growth, whether it's just not want to have checks in somebody's house, and allowing you to keep going with what you're doing and let us kind of help you with that. Another big thing that a big tool that I think is often underutilized, especially as people are starting to grow, is budgeting. And having a budgeting tool that's available to you in your accounting software to me is extremely critical. A All a budget is it's a plan for where how you're going to get to what your goals are for the year. We wouldn't expect operations teams to build a schedule without having some kind of plan. They don't just let people show up, let people leave, hope that they hit their labor goal. Budgeting works the same way for us on the accounting side. What are our goals? What are we trying to accomplish? What do we consider success for the year? Whether that's, cost of goods targets, labor targets, bottom line targets, sales targets. What does success look like? So that way we can really gauge ourselves against it throughout the year and be able to see, are we on track or are we not? It's really the only way that helps us understand, can we grow? Can we do that remodel? Can we open up that third store? Whatever your financial goals are for the year, you have to have a budget in place and have a tool that helps you do that. And so some of the options we have that really help you meet that are you can budget by dollar amounts, like you see down there at the bottom. You can also budget as a percentage of sales, which is very common for a lot of different targets. But one thing a lot of tools don't let you do, like you see there in the middle, is you can budget by specific categories and report by those. Like I might want, if I'm selling beer or liquor in my restaurant, I don't want beer to just be a percentage of sales. I want it to be a percentage of my actual beer sales. I want to see beer to beer, how am I doing? Not get it lost in that kind of percentage of overall net sales. Especially if beer makes up a smaller part, it's really easy for things to get lost in the wash on am I having issues? Do I have stuff walking out the door or not? Being able to, budget against a specific category, against a specific GL account is really, really helpful. And then also being able to leverage Excel is really critical too. So being able to take this budget out to Excel, be able to build it out in there, be a little bit more customized, especially if I'm a little bit larger, I get a little more sophisticated in kind of how I build some of my modeling or how I decide to do that. Being able to take that, export that budget screen out to Excel, build it in there, re-import it back in. So I've now got it in my accounting tool can be really, really critical, like I said, especially as you grow or as you get a little more sophisticated, you want to still be able to leverage a lot of that flexibility that Excel has. So, what about operations? We really need to have some great operational tools that are helping us over there. And within operations, one of the first things we're looking at is cost control. And this is one thing, in kind of talking with a lot of different groups and kind of helping them, this is one thing I've learned very quickly to kind of help make sure we talk about from the beginning is cost control is different than cutting costs. Cutting costs is that short-term fix that is really necessary that sometimes you have to do. We've all been in that position where, hey, things are really tight. We don't know if we're going to make it through the next 6 months. We've got to start cutting costs. We've got to, make ourselves be able to get through to the next season. That's very different than cost control, which is really a policy of monitoring your biggest cost drivers and making sure they stay in line. That should be an everyday practice we're always looking at. We're not trying to cut costs. I'm trying to manage them and control them in a way that helps us be sustainable and helps us make sure we're maximizing that benefit we're providing to the restaurants and to our guests while also making sure we're being financially uh, stable. And so part of that starts with labor. We need to be able to have tools that help us forecast our sales accurately. It's really hard to build a schedule if I don't know what my sales are going to be. So being able to forecast there, having something help us build a schedule more efficiently, and then being able to monitor against that with some kind of actual versus scheduled labor to see, did I actually meet my labor goal? Did I actually meet my labor target? Did I follow my schedule or did I not? And that's really one of that ways to really maximize our labor, which as costs keep rising and rising and rising, the cost of goods, there's sometimes less control we have there. But labor is still one of those places we can really still exercise a lot of control over. And where a lot of people unfortunately don't understand what to do. And so they just start just cutting schedules and they just start cutting people off without really understanding how that's going to impact them. So having tools that help us do that is really important. And that starts with the forecasting tool. So having a forecasting tool that really helps you be able to, have a tool that builds that forecast for you, but then gives you the ability to influence it. So with our forecasting tool, we allow you to be able to forecast, hey, let's use last year and this year, use that blend of what's occurred and be able to then, use our algorithm to help it forecast out. But also you might say, look, last year was an anomaly, or I'm in my first year, I don't have a last year. So now we can just look at what's happened over the last 8 weeks. That's all we're going to leverage off of give you that information, be able to do it. Also, let you populate events into there, whether that's holidays, whether that's coupon drops, whether it's catering events, being able to drop those events in there, so that way we can see them and be able to forecast sales against that, and be able to make adjustments to our forecast based on what's happening. And get full visibility into those changes really helps us make sure we set ourselves up for success and understanding what's going on. So, like I mentioned, we could start with several different starting points there. So, really great depending on what you need, we can make sure we have that built for you. And then also, whenever we're looking at these forecasting days, sometimes there's gonna be things that happen that we don't want to have it be a part of it. Maybe we had a huge snowstorm that came through last year on this day. Well, I want that day removed from it because we were closed or we had really slow sales. Inversely, if we had, a huge coupon drop last year on this day, well, of course, our sales were up 30% over normal. So I don't want that one included either. So giving us visibility into all those days that are being a part of it, those events that we dropped on those days, being able to see that and be able to see what happened so we can make sure we're removing those outliers that might impact it, or is really, really helpful and a part of that tool. And that's really crucial. Because again, we don't want to be able to over forecast that or under forecasted because of those anomalies, and being able to look at that is really helpful. So once we build that forecast, the scheduler really becomes the next, being able to build that schedule off of that and being able to have all the things you need to effectively build it. whether those are multiple views of the schedule, being able to have cutoff days, being able to have those overtime rules built in, all of that stuff is really important. And then if you have it available in your point of sale, we actually have the ability to push our schedule directly into your point of sale and be able to use what's called schedule enforcement, which your employees can't clock in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever time you set before their scheduled time. It requires a manager approval. So it really gets rid of those people that do that little thing where I hate to call it stealing, but that's almost what it is, where they're just sneaking in a little early, clocking in that 5, 10 minutes, clocking out 5, 10 minutes, kind of grabbing that little time that they're not actually working. They're coming in, they clock in, and they go sit down for a few minutes until their shift starts. Being able to get rid of that, and your manager has enough going on, in my opinion, probably the toughest job in the entire restaurant industry is the restaurant manager. There are so many things that are on their plate that any tools we can give them, like schedule enforcement, people they don't have to be watching every single person that walks in and are they clocking in or are they not. It can be invaluable for them and help them save on labor. So, like I mentioned, having a schedule that gives you multiple views, whether it's looking at it by department. I want to look at my entire back of the kitchen, or I want to look at it by job. We got so many different jobs here. I just want to look at it. I want to look at it by server, and I just want to look at all my servers, make sure that's built out. Now I want to go look at all my bus boys. Okay, I got that taken care of. Cool. And going piece by piece through there, but then also giving you an app for your employees to be able to use, your employees to be able to access, get their schedule on there, request availability changes, request days off, be able to communicate within the tool with one another. Really, really impactful tools. And it's really almost expected now to have some kind of app for your employees to be able to do that. It saves your management a lot of time because old school, if you think about when we were building these in Excel, people would write down sticky notes for days off. We got sticky notes all over that back office. I got to remember all those. Now just having all that availability just goes straight through that app. They're self-managing. The manager just approves it with, yep, that's okay. I know you can't work Fridays anymore because football season's starting. Okay, great. And being able to have all that right in there and reminding them in the schedule every time they go build it. Again, really helpful tool, helps them, saves everybody a bunch of time and a bunch of grief. And like we talked about, having the schedule enforcement feature really. So we did a really good job building our schedule. We felt like it's great. Now what do we do? Now we got to manage it. Now we got to make sure, did we actually follow the schedule? Wouldn't make much sense to build a schedule and then not actually make sure we're following it. So being able to give you the tools to show you, here's what was worked, here's what was scheduled, here's how far off we were. And now we can look at this, whether I'm an above store manager and I want to come back and say, hey, why did Caleb work an extra 20 minutes yesterday? Only scheduled 5.5. They worked 550. Oh, cool. You guys were super busy when he was supposed to get off and he stayed an extra 20. That's awesome. Thanks, Caleb. Oh, we didn't know that. Caleb stayed an extra 20 minutes. Maybe they clocked out 20 minutes late, but the manager told them go home when they just chose not to clock out. Well, we can see that very visibly. So obviously we don't want to get into nitpicking with stuff like that. But at the end of the day, if we're trying to manage our labor and we're trying to hit really razor thin targets, having 6.5 hours on a day might make or break that target that you're trying to hit. It might make or break whether you hit your bonus as a manager, whether you guys hit profitability for the month, especially if that continues on and on and on and nobody's monitoring or catching it, makes it really hard to stay on top of. And so giving you different tools, what you were just looking at is something that's baked directly into our tool as a labor versus actual, but you can also have a lot of these reports auto emailed out to you as well. So these are reports you can come in and choose to run for whatever date range, but you can also have it emailed. So you're the owner, you're the director of operations. You can't be logging into each store individually and have that. Having reports get sent to you with this information, showing, see it, yep, looks good, get to move on, not have to spend a bunch of time digging in and building that or having somebody build all this information for you, being able to have it right there at your fingertips and be able to have it in your inbox when you are ready to digest it can be really helpful for you to make sure, again, you're keeping your arms around labor. And being able to look at it from different ways. So this is another report that is really awesome. It's called the Daily Labor Review Report. So like you can see here, everything there on the left, these are all my different locations. Here's my sales, here's my labor goals, here's the actual labor they ran, here's the variance to labor. Having all of that in one report so I can get, as that owner of 15 locations, one report, bang, here's where I am with labor. If I happen to be in a state that has, break rules or has minor rules, being able to track all of that, see what it's costing me in dollars and those penalties that are being accrued, if I've got overtime, all these different things that I'm stressing about on a daily basis of trying to manage all these restaurants, having it all in one place so I can go directly from this report that I get in the morning and know who I need to call, what problems I need to go tackle, and not waiting 2, 3, 4 weeks sometimes to get this information, but I can have it now on a daily basis if I want to, and really keep my arms around it and never let it get too far away from me. That's the worst part is letting it get too far away. Now we've already spent that 10, 12, 20 extra $1,000 this on this payroll because nobody was watching it. Now, if we give you the tools to watch it as you're going, we're able to keep our arms around it a lot tighter, not letting it too far away from us. Obviously, outside of labor, we really got to watch it. The biggest cost driver for a lot of places is food and paper. So being able to perform accurate inventory counts, being able to track transfers, waste, looking at those price changes we talked about earlier, all is really, really important things, and having it all sitting in one tool really helps us do that because I'm not having to remember different logins going in and out of places, but all the information that's flowing in here is all the same information I'm using in so many other places. So whether that's performing inventory, being able to have a tool where I can do this on a tablet, on a laptop, or directly on my phone, and being able to have access to that inventory tool directly there really, really saves time and helps meet me where I'm at. If I'm on a phone and that's just easier for me, I could be doing inventory there. If I got the tablet or I've got the laptop, doing it there. Really being able to, have the tools I need to do inventory in a way that's easy and meaningful for me. But then we know new things happen all the time when we're entering inventory. So we give you alerts that pop up and say, hey, there's a new item that you started purchasing that's not an inventory. It's not in your inventory template yet. Do you want to add it? Every single one of us have a story where I've had to hand write at the bottom of inventory count all the new items that were on the shelf that nobody knew anything about or that we forgot to add. There's a lot going on in the restaurants. Remembering to do that is it can be a lot, especially with something that's kind of smaller and we weren't really thinking about. So having those alerts pop up save us time, save everybody a little bit of grief, and being able to help get those really easy. And then also with those inventory counts, because again, we're connected in with the accounting software, being able to have an inventory count be what we call GL posting, which means it is going to post the accounting entry for me or not, be able to set that up in the template is really helpful because I might want most of my weekly and monthly or periodic um, inventory counts to automatically post into the GL and post into the P&L for me. But I might have daily counts where I'm having them count 5, 10 items just every day just to see how we're doing. Well, I want to be able to disable that, and not have it post to the GL, and that can be really helpful just to make sure I've got those daily counts that we're tracking things appropriately, but we're not, bothering the accounting team by having a bunch of accounting entries for every single day. Like we mentioned, another place, in my opinion, that a lot of us deal with, but don't have a good solution for, and that's transfers and to a lesser degree waste. People are, especially if you've got multiple restaurants and they're near each other, we're always transferring product back and forth to one another. Everybody kind of has their own system for how they do it, whether it's filling out slips, whether it's a IOU system where I borrowed a case this time, you order it for me and then give it back to me. Inevitably, it's really difficult to track. We're spending a lot of time doing it. Most of the time, all this information never makes it back to the accounting team because we're just, as operations, we're just dealing with it. We're just trying to get product to have it served out to our guests. We're not worried about the accounting and the cost of goods. So we want to have a transfer tool that right there from my phone or even from my computer, I can put in that transfer, say, I sent you 2 cases, you accept it, the accounting entry is written, everything moves in the cost of goods, and then having full visibility to all of that for the above store managers. Then you'll be able to see what are transfers that are happening, what's going on, why is it happening, and be able to see all those comments and all those transfers right there, but also having the ability to have it all tied into the accounting is super useful. Same thing with these waste logs. If we want to be able to track waste and really understand what is happening with our products, and being able to say, hey, I dropped 2 of these, I had to throw 4 of these away, and being able to have full visibility into that. It's a really big culture thing for a lot of people. It's really hard for people to want to rat themselves out and say, I did something wrong. But if we can truly understand why we're doing it and show that this is not about a gotcha, this is about I need to know what's going on with product. I need to understand where it's going. I need to understand why I thought we should have 5 and I only have 2. because we have a waste log. Things got dropped. Cool. It's a kitchen. I know what happens. Let's just record it so we know what happens. I don't have to think something else is going on. So being able to have that, do it all in this tool can be really useful as well. And then, like we talked earlier, the other really hidden, sneaky thing in cost of goods that a lot of times we're not looking at until we notice cost of goods goes up, and then we have somebody on the team go pull a bunch of invoices and build this big Excel workbook that shows us all the prices that have changed on items. Now, because we're getting that level of detail from all of our vendors, we're getting all that information coming in down to every price for every item that we're buying. We can be able to surface that in reporting that again, we can have auto emailed to you on a daily or weekly basis. Anecdotal, this is one I looked at every single day, and I would set the price differential. I wouldn't necessarily set it at 20%, like you see there, but you can set it to where, hey, I don't want to see anything above 1%. I got a bunch of produce stuff that's going up and down every single day. I don't want to look at that. I want to just look at those things that have meaningfully gone up on me over the last week and be able to have that, see it, and then be able to go to those vendors and say, hey, saw this price go up. It's something we had not agreed upon. Can we, we need to talk about this, or maybe internally we need to talk about, hey, they said this is the price that's going to because of X, Y, Z. We need to talk about going up on our menu prices, or we need to talk about maybe changing the item that we're using in there. But we're being very proactive in that instead of very reactive when all of a sudden our cost of goods is up 2, 3, 4%. We don't know why. We go back, we find all these price increases that went up. Now we're scrambling to try and get profitable because we're losing money at two stores now. We can be more proactive in seeing that and making adjustments to what we're doing before it starts costing us too much. And this is just an example of what that report looks like. So being able to pull all that information in, be able to see what that cost of goods impact is to me over that time frame that I looked at, because it knows how much we're using of that item. So it knows based on this price increase we took, how much is going to impact my cost of goods, and just giving you that information. Now I know, and I apologize, was a little hard to read, but what those are across the top is those are different store names there. So what this report does is it really takes our pricing verification and kind of looks at it through a different prism. Looks at it through what am I paying for each particular item that I'm buying across each store. In a perfect world, every single store we have is buying the exact same items at the exact same pack sizes for the exact same price, but we all know that's not always realistic for a variety of reasons. They might be ordering from different houses. They might be, unfortunately, they got a substitute, or this one store loved the substitute and just kept ordering it. And it might not be within our brand guide. It might not be within our contract pricing. To be able to have a report that shows me here's all of my items or all the items I want to look at, and then be able to surface that and be able to say, what am I paying for that item in each one of my stores? And then what is the high, what's the low, what's the average? So I can very quickly get my arms around, are we ordering the right things and are people paying the right prices? I don't know if it's me, I don't know if it's the vendor, but I can very quickly see there's a problem and be able to dive in. So this case study we see here, it's one of our vendors that was ordering a bunch of soy sauce. What they found once they came on very quickly and started being able to look at their purchasing this way was they had all their stores were just ordering different ways and ways that were more convenient for them. Whether it was ordering packets and ordering different size packets, but then some were ordering it in bulk and pre-portioning. And so once they got everybody back onto the brand standard of what they were supposed to do, they saved $192,000 in that first year just by getting everybody ordering the right item they were supposed to have been ordering, not ordering all these other items that were inefficient or weren't within their contract pricing, and getting everybody on the same items. The last thing we're going to talk about here, and this is to me kind of the holy grail of food cost analysis, is what we call an actual versus theoretical analysis. What this does, and there's a lot of people that try and build this or try and build it in Excel. It can be done. It's very time consuming, takes a lot of different resources. But what this does essentially is because we're connected with the point of sale, we have all of your recipes, we have all your menu items tied to your recipes, we're tied in with your vendors. We know what your last count was, your last inventory count, what your ending count is. I know what you purchased, I know what you transferred, I know what you wasted, I know what you sold. So I know theoretically how much you should have used of all of your items. But because we're connected with what you actually used, we know what you actually used and can give you a variance of how good you're using every single item. High level categories, food and then meat, but I can get down into individual items and be able to show you how efficiently you're using it in quantity and in dollars. So being able to say, hey, And this is to me the first place we go because we've all had that question. Hey, cost of goods is up. What happened? And everybody just looks around the table and we all shrug our shoulders because nobody knows where to start. Nobody knows why it's up 2%. This report is now where we go to answer those questions. Hey, I see that we spent $300 more on brisket this month than what our recipe said we should have. What happened here? Now I've got a specific item with a specific dollar value associated with why our cost of goods was up, and now we can drill it. Anecdotally, I'll share, my last restaurant I came from, we were heavy barbecue. In the first year we started using this, and this was right in the headwinds of everything with price increases, with tons of inflation. We dropped our cost of goods by a full 3% just by utilizing this report, just by having this in front of ourselves, every single inventory, being able to talk about specific items. Because it got rid of, not that we were looking at with gotchas, but it got rid of excuses. It got rid of my, I don't know. Now we can look and go, you got brisket and you had turkey and you had sausage. We're higher than they should be. They're outside of the variance. We need to figure out what's going on. Helped our training staff knew where to target for specific stores, what those problems were. Helped my ops teams with inspections on knowing what to go look at with those stores. Really helped us be very targeted in what we were trying to accomplish, what we were trying to solve, instead of just throwing a blanket at this store and hope we figured out what was going on.
Thank you so much, Anthony. Really appreciate your time there. We have a quick poll for you before we close. You should see it pop up on your screen now. I'll give you all a few moments to respond. Just a few more minutes here. Great. Okay, thank you so, so much. Before we close off, we'd love to see you at the Restaurant Transformation Tour next week in New Orleans. So if it's not too last minute, we'd love to have you. This one-day event will feature a variety of sessions tailored to different tracks and roles within the restaurant industry. It's a fantastic opportunity to connect with other restaurant professionals and learn from one another. You can scan the QR code on the screen to learn more. We definitely hope to see you there. And this concludes our webinar. You'll receive an email with a link to download the recording and listen again or share with your colleagues. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope to see you soon. And thanks again, Anthony.
Thank you. I appreciate the time today.